Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to give you 10 books which I think could help you get into reading. And these are just like my opinion. Some people have been like, no, these books aren't good. Some people have been like, man, these books are good. So this is just my personal opinion on like what I thought was a quick, easy, fast read, something that really got me into it. So here are 10 books that I think can help you get into reading. Okay, up first I have One of Us is Lying. And this one is actually the book that got me into reading. Now I will say I read this like 5 years ago, like right when COVID happened. This was the first book the first big book I read on my own. And I like Pretty Little Liars, and this just gave me like Pretty Little Liars vibes. But it's basically like 4 kids go to detention and one of them doesn't make it out of detention, and then it's ruled that his death wasn't an accident. So all 4 of the kids are trying to come together and figure out what really happened, and there's a lot of drama and secret relationships, and it's a pretty good read. Are there better books? Yes, but I think is it a good book to start reading with? Yes. Okay, up next is one called The Fear. Now, I will say, when I started reading it, I was like, But when I started getting into it and I finished it, I was like, what? But basically, there's there's a meme, and it's a stupid meme or something like that, where you post the worst way you could die, and then kids start dying that way, and then people are like, what? And so that's really all I can say without spoiling anything. But I felt like this one was really short and it was really quick, and it did have a good plot twist. So I think this one would be a good one to be you know what I'm saying, a good, easy beginning read. And so like I said, if you like a thriller, mystery kind of vibe, this one would be a good one as well. And next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This one is one of my all-time fave series books, you know. But basically this one is about a senior Pip who, for her final senior project, decides to investigate a murder of a girl, Andy, that happened a couple years ago by her boyfriend. And she wants to dig in more and know more about it, but as she starts to dig into more, she starts to reveal more actually, and she actually slowly starts to solve the case. And there's cassette recording, maybe not cassette, but the tape recording. She has interviews with people in here, and so if you like that kind of interactive stuff, this is a good one to read. And I felt like it was pretty fast paced. It always kept me into it, so I would say this is a really good one. And then for my fourth thriller murder mystery, I have How to Survive Your Murder, and it's basically about this girl and her sister is murdered, and so then when they're at the trial, she gets sent back in time to save her sister. And there's just a lot going on in this book. This book actually made me scared. I was gonna go out in the hallway and I had to flick on the lights, and I was kind of scared. This is the only one I've known so far to put me on my edge of my seat like that. So this one, I will say, is definitely a good one. Only if you like time travel though. Some people don't like time travel, so then I wouldn't suggest this one. Up next we have The Housemaid, which I'll put somewhere over here. I read this one on my Kindle by Frida. I love Frida. This is such an on edge, get you into reading, out of your book slump book. I started it and I read it in 2 days, and I was so into it. I could not put it down. And it's about a girl who needs a job, so she goes in for a nanny position and she gets hired. And so she gets to live there, but the only thing is she lives in the attic. And really, that's all I'm gonna say, because everything else just flows from there. But this one is so good. I rated it a 4.5. I should have rated it a 5, honestly, but this one was so good, and everyone should read this one. I can't even. start with this one. Like, if I had to say start with one, it would be this one. Like, this one is so good. Up next, I have It Ends With Us, which might be a little controversial, but this story, this is the only Colleen Hoover book I've ever read, but this story was just so good. Like, I don't even know how to, like, it was just so serious and good, and it just made me, like, open my eyes, and I was just like, wow. Like, I was just blown away by it. And it's about this girl, and she moves to Boston, and then she meets this guy, but this guy turns out to not really be a good guy, if that makes sense. So she has to learn how to, like, get out of the relationship and whatnot. This isn't really, like, a good summary of it, because it's been a minute since I read it, and I don't know how to, like, summarize it off my brain. But if you're interested in this one, I would actually go and, like, read the little synopsis for it to get a more accurate, like, summary of it. But I will say this one was really good, and I would suggest, like, for everyone to read this one. Like, this one was really good. Okay, now I have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This one literally blew me away. Like, it's a story within a story, and it's about a, like, writer getting the chance to write a famous girl's story, and so you learn that girl's story, and then it just ties in at the end, and I just, wow, this one was so good. And there's so many, like, plots and points to this one, I just don't know how to describe it, but this one was so good. It, like, kept me on the edge of my seat, like, of not wanting to put the book down, if that makes sense. Like, I was on vacation, and I did not want to put this one down. Like, I was like, let me finish, let me finish. So this one is also, I mean, these are all really good reads, but this one is a really good read too. Okay, and then up next, I have The Summer I Turned Pretty. I started this one back in, like, 2022, and I didn't really get anywhere, but then during summer I sat down and I finished it, and I was like, oh, that's a cute little story. Like, it's just a cute little story. Like, it's a short book. I haven't read the second and third. That's, like, on my TBR for 2025, but this one was such a cute little story. It felt like a, I don't know if it's a coming of age, but it felt like a good little coming of age, and it was just really good. Like, I think I cried at the end, but it is, like, a good little story. It's like a little romance, like, yeah. But it's about this girl who goes to the beach, like, she goes to the beach every summer, and she meets up with her mom's, like, her mom's friend, sons. So there's her and her brother, and then the 2 brothers. And so it's kind of just, like, a lot of chemistry. It's a good read. It's a good read. Up next, I have Shatter Me. Now, I will say, the Shatter Me series is so good. It's just that first book, I have to say, you kind of have to power through. I felt like the first book was, like, not giving me enough. But then I was like, everyone says the whole series is great. And so when I read the second one, the first one made sense for the second one. So once you read that first one and you start the second, you're, like, really into it. And the first one is, like, really short, and you get to know more about the background, like, you get to know more background of the main character. And so I feel like it's just a good little fantasy. Like, it just, the first one is only the beginning. Like, it's so good. But it's about a girl who cannot touch anybody or they die. Like, she cannot touch anybody. But it's actually crazy, but then she meets a guy she can actually touch. And it's like, but it's really good. Like I said, you kind of just have to power through that first one. It can be a little boring, but you get more. You will get more. I promise you will get more. And finally, there's If He Had Been With Me. Now, I read this one for a school, like, book project, because I got to pick. And now I will say, it kind of, like, you kind of knew where the story was going, but you read it anyway. Like, you know what you're getting into. You'll see what I mean. But, like, it just hits. Like, it literally just hits you. And you're just like, what? Like, I can't even. It's a short, good read. There's friendships, relationships, breakups, like, and ex-friends, ex-boyfriends, like, betrayal, like, it's a good story. But it's about, I can't even like tell you what it's about because it's been a minute since I read it. But so the book, I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure I like kind of like explained it right. It's about a girl named Autumn, and she was always known like weird in school, and she had her like best friend Finny, who their parents were like best friends, and so like as they grow older they grow apart, and so when they grow apart that's where like all the drama and like friendships and ex-best friends and gossip and all of that just starts getting intertwined, because I don't want to say anymore, but I will say it's a little more interesting when you start like getting into it. But I think it is a good like starting point. I think it is a good start read. And then there's a sequel to it for his point of view, which I haven't read, but I really need to read it. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Some of these might have been like you totally didn't agree with, but this is kind of my opinion. Like I looked at all my books I've read from 2022, 2023, 24, and I was like, I picked out 10 that I thought, okay, those could be a good starting point for somebody who wants to start reading. Like I'm not gonna suggest like a random book that is like so hardcore or that is like boring. So I tried to think of things that are like good and maybe they're in a series. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.